gold down there, Diane. There's gold down there.
You're like their number one favorite guy. Because you won them cash. Hi and welcome to the Tour Report from Secret Golf. I'm Diane Knox, joined by Steve Elkington. Do you have a little bit of an open hangover? Are you missing links golf this week?
No open hangover, Diane. I'm still stinging from that 86 I shot at St. George's back in. No, I'm over that. No, next year we won't have that. We'll have the contrast next year, Diane. We'll see the old course at St. Andrews with the city in the background, and we're hitting over buildings, over the old course hotel, the road hole. There'll be a lot more contrast next year. You'll be able to see a lot more, and that's something already we'll be all looking forward to.
Yeah, well, I love it every year, but of course we're all very excited about the Open being back at St. Andrews next year. Anyway, this golf ship keeps sailing and it's on to Minnesota this week for the 3M Open. Now, of course, last week we had the Barbasol Championship as well. Seamus Power winning, our very own JT Poston losing on the 6th playoff hole, which was kind of tough to watch, Elk, because he played so well throughout the whole week and pretty much one bad swing on the 15th hole was the one that cost him.
Yeah, JT Poston, I texted with him after the round. I watched the whole thing yesterday afternoon. I felt terrible for him. And I thought, well, if he won that playoff, would I have wanted him to just cruise in and win by 4 or go through a playoff and go through all that? There was some things he learnt yesterday, I'm sure. Stung like crazy, though, last night because he did have the tournament in hand. Easy par 5, hooked his tee shot out of bounds. One bad shot cost him 2 strokes. The field, the feeding frenzy, the field knew that happened, and they all raced up the board, and they finished up in a playoff, and he could never quite get his foot back in the door. He did have a couple putts at it, almost made it, I think, on the 5th playoff hole, but in the end, a very disappointing week for him, Diane, considering he had a 3-shot lead with 4 holes to go.
You talk about a feeding frenzy, and we've seen that the past couple of weeks, at the Barbasol, at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, and we're going to see that again this week at the 3M Open. It's another, generally pretty easy course. We're going to have super low scoring. Last year, Michael Thompson won at 19 under par. The year before, it was Matt Wolff. Remember that? He was 21 under par, but it was a duel between him, Morikawa, and DeChambeau, and Wolff getting that eagle on the 18th to win. So we're going to see a lot of birdies, a lot of eagles. It's going to be a scoring fest this week.
Yes, and as we handicap this week, Diane, I played this course in the Champions Tour a couple of times. It's a sort of a parkland course. There's a lot of water, just like Minnesota is known for, the state of 1,000 lakes. There's plenty of lakes on this golf course, so you can't hit it everywhere or anywhere. You've got to play the course properly, but there will be very low scoring. The last hole right behind you, there's a very cool hole. Everybody drives down there and they can take a crack at that green across the water. We saw Matthew Wolff. He'll be back in action this week after having a little time off again. Wonder how he's going to be, how his game is shaping up. He was able to walk in off and play well at the US Open. So we got a lot to uncover. I'm thinking this week, Diane, mostly about why are players there and what motivates them to play well. And we're going to get into that, and it's going to be clear after we tell you our picks. Why are they there?
Well, this week you mentioned the water on the course. 27 water hazards. There's only a handful of holes that don't have water on them, and 72 sand traps. So this week they've narrowed the fairways since the PGA Tour Champions event was held there. But how important is it going to be accurate, and is distance going to be a premium?
Well, we saw obviously. Last week, we saw a different style of golf at the Open Championship where fairways was just the only way to go. On the US Tour, a lot of the guys are going for distance. Okay, so where does it leave us this week? As you noted, there's a ton of lakes. You've got to avoid all of that trouble. So the best way to play this course is from the fairway, Diane. I think maybe the guys that are coming off, there's quite a few players that played in the Open Championship that are playing this week. Look, from the fairway, hitting second shots across water, always want to be in the fairway. So I think the players will be playing this course thinking about being in the fairway.
Okay, and as you said, there's a lot of reasons why guys are here. Some really big names in the field, which was a little bit unexpected. A lot of guys have made the trip back across from England. Dustin Johnson playing, Tony Finau, Ricky Fowler, Patrick Reed. We're thinking about FedExCup rankings and we're going to go into that, but also there's Ryder Cup points to play for as well. And a lot of those guys fall out with the top 6 that have secured their place. So we're going to dive into that. We'll give you our re-ranked top 10 sizzlers and some dark horse picks this week for the 3M Open.
Compete against your friends on PGA Tour events. Win cash and bragging rights. Test your golf knowledge. Experience the success and failure of PGA Tour players. SG Tour app is an engaging golf experience designed by professional golfers that created a variety of games, including single and multi-day games, as well as tournament-long contests. It's really simple. Join or create a game, pick 4 players, and win cash. You can even immerse yourself in interactive features, including course strategy, putt predictor, and daily content exclusively from PGA Tour players. The word is out and golf fans are catching on. So don't miss out. Download the SG Tour app now.
Hi and welcome to the Tour Report from Secret Golf. This week it's the 3M Open at TPC Twin Cities in Minnesota. So Elk, we're going to go through our re-ranked top 10. We've already been talking a bit about the course and what guys are going to have to do around here. So the main stat categories that we're looking at this week, and last week for the Open Championship, we kind of threw the stats out the window. We're back to the stats this week with a lot of other factors too.
Yeah, I mean, last week we had to because it was obvious that they didn't mean anything. Morikawa was 140 ranked putter in the field, and he was number 1 last week. So you put players on certain courses with certain different circumstances, a lot of pressure last week. This week, you've got to drive it straight. What are our stats? I don't have them in front of me. You'll have to say.
We are going to look at total driving, greens and regulation, scrambling, putting average, and birdie average, which really, you put all those together, that equals low scoring, and that's what we're going to expect. We are going to see a heaped up leaderboard come Sunday with guys just battling, trying to get lower and lower. Minus 21 from Matt Wolff in 2019, and Michael Thompson won last year at 19 under par. So it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, even though there is no end of the year, but there really is, Diane. It's in 2 weeks. What that means is there's a cutoff in 2 weeks. If you're outside of the top 25, 125, you're not on tour next year. If you're outside of top 150, you can just forget about playing hardly any events. But on the other end of that, there's guys that are trying to get into the top 30, secure their spot into a couple of playoff events. There's guys like Finau, Patrick Reed, who are outside of the Ryder Cup looking in. Could they have a hot week? And yes, they've got their FedEx points, but could they jump into the picture, into Steve Stricker's mind for the Ryder Cup? There's a bunch of guys that are sitting outside. Ricky Fowler, Diane, is sitting on the cut at 124th on the money list. Is anyone worried about Ricky? Yes, Ricky is. Just shot 65 yesterday in the last round. So why is he there? And we're going to talk about that.
Okay, well, we're going to launch right into our re-ranked top 10. And the guy at number 1 just dropped to number 2 in the official world golf rankings. He's made the trip back over from the Open Championship, where he finished in a tie for 8th. Dustin Johnson is our number 1 guy. Now, Elk, last year he withdrew from this event. So this year he's back in action. Are you surprised that he's made the trip across the pond to compete this week?
Well, yes and no. He probably committed to this event last year, withdrew for some illness, and then he said, look, I'm coming back next year. So when guys of Dustin Johnson's caliber, when they leave to go to the Open Championship, they don't leave thinking they're just playing the Open and, oh my God, I don't want to go to Minnesota. They think of the stretch they're getting ready to put together. Dustin Johnson played pretty average golf last week and still finished in the top 10. So he has to sit on top of our board, Diane. A little tweak here or there. He changed his putter and his driver last week. Could he have been there? No, he couldn't have beat Morikawa last week, but he's still the best on top of our board this week.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why he's at number one, and there's really nothing else left to say about him. The only thing is he's 15th in the FedExCup standings right now, and we've got a couple of weeks left and the playoffs begin, and the points are quadrupled in the playoff events. But remember, the top 10 get part of that massive $15 million bonus. So he can jump up a couple of spots if he wants to make this season a little bit more fruitful.
Yeah, with a win here, Dustin Johnson puts himself right where he wants to be, which is a chance to win, what is it now, $20 million for the FedExCup?
I know.
So there's reasons for all these players are doing what they do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, coming in at number 2 is a guy who is playing good golf right now. He just nabbed his first win on the PGA Tour at the Rocket Mortgage Classic just a few weeks ago. Won in a playoff against Joaquin Niemann and Troy Merritt. So Cam Davis, we have him at number 2 this week.
Yeah, he was not able to travel to the Open Championship after qualifying for it at the last minute at the Rocket Mortgage, Diane. He had visa problems, so he went home. He celebrated with his family. Who doesn't think Cam Davis is going to play good this week? The guy is swinging so good, confident, the whole show. Perfect golf course for him. He's got a beautiful golf swing. He hits it straight. We're not going to be comparing everyone now to Morikawa, but he's a very straight hitter, even longer than Morikawa, Cam Davis is. So, yeah, I mean, it's a toss-up whether he could have been number 1 this week.
And, you know, that was a good point about the visa issues, you know, because he couldn't go to the Open. So that would have been disappointing, frustrating, especially with the momentum of that win and taking it over to the major. But as you say as well, he got to really mark and celebrate his debut victory on the PGA Tour, which is such an important thing for someone his age to do.
Yeah, and what is he on FedEx? Top 30 on FedEx this year. We'll get him in the Open next year.
Yeah.
So he's eyeing ahead of all the majors. He's got a lot to look forward to, this kid. But the thing that I'm looking forward to, Diane, we talk a lot about form this time of year. Guys that are starting with their motor already running. Cam Smith is wide open when he gets there. Did I say Cam Smith? Cam Davis.
I mean, they're both Australian. Okay, coming in at number 3 is Tony Finau, coming off a 15th place finish at the Open Championship. What do you make of Finau right now? In that he didn't have a lot of form heading into the Open. That was a good finish, and we know that he can really turn it on and do well in the majors. But what's your position on Tony Finau right now?
The putter is still a little chilly.
Yes.
With Finau. He negotiates the tee to green part as good as anyone on the tour, Diane, and he had a good week last week, but he still left a few putts out there. I saw him miss a couple of 3-footers and doesn't quite look settled, but he's sort of out of the limelight a little bit. And I'm wondering, Diane, if he could have a spurt of energy right now to get on the Ryder Cup. He's outside of the Ryder Cup. Would he be good in the Ryder Cup? He'd be great if he was putting good. So he's looking for one little spark, and it's only the putter. So whenever I start seeing guys that have finished in the top 15, as you've noted, with one tiny fraction of a thing to fix, I'm always on top of that.
These Ryder Cup picks are going to be interesting to see who Steve Stricker goes with, because there's only a few more weeks of the points remaining. And I mean, even Jordan's out with the top 6 right now. So, you know, you'd think he's going to get a pick, but it's going to be tricky.
It feels like the American team is playing better golf than the Euros. And the reason I say that is we don't hear anything from the Euros talking about how good they're playing. So when I look at Rahm, of course, goes over to the Euros. Rory's a little bit of a question mark. Fleetwood had a nice week last week. Patton's off form. The Euro team, to me, Diane, is not put together yet. Could happen very quickly. The US team seems to be a little bit more organized mentally or in form, but it's still a little early.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a taster of it all next week for the Olympics. Coming in at number 4 in our ranking, do you see the smile on my face? Because we're talking about Hank Levioda.
You have been on this 3 times in a row. He was a Sizzler pick, he was a top 10 pick, and he hasn't let you down, and now he's made his way into the top 5. Yay. What I'm looking at, Hank, Diane, he's got 3 3 top 5 finishes in a row. And I've learned from listening to you and listening to TV, this guy's a very good athlete, sort of like a Dustin Johnson, played high school football, high school baseball, very strong player. But when a player switches gears and he realizes he can win, I watched a little piece on the Open Championship, Diane, yesterday, Jack Nicklaus versus Tom Watson at the Battle in the Sun at Turnberry, I think in 77. Did you see that clip?
No, I didn't.
They walked off the green. Jack Nicklaus got beaten by the last hole by Tom Watson, and Tom Watson said, Jack said something into his ear, which was, I gave you my best today and you beat me. And that changed everything for Tom Watson. He realized that the greatest player that ever lived just told him that you took down his best. I'm not saying Hank is there, but he knows now that he can play with these guys.
Well, 7 consecutive cuts made, 3 top 10 finishes. 2 of those have been top 5 in a row. And he is first on the PGA Tour for putting from 3 feet, which, I mean, that's your pressure putt right there. And we know it's going to be a birdie fest this week, but because this is the 3rd time we've seen this tournament and the tour has been to TPC Twin Cities, in all 8 rounds he's been under par. So that's another good start heading into this week. He has a lot of good momentum around this course.
There's no doubt. And anyone in his camp will be saying, let's get it while you're hot. You know, let's stay out there on tour. Let's go after it.
Right, coming in at number 5 is, I can't help but just have a little bit of a heavy heart for Louis Oosthuizen. And I mean, I don't know why, because he finished 3rd at the Open Championship and would have made a whole ton of money, but he was 54-hole leader. And it's kind of the same old story. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Apart from that one time 11 years ago.
Yeah, they always talk about Louis like it sounds like he's never won, but he is an Open champion, of course. And I think there'll be less sting yesterday, Diane, than there would have been at Torrey Pines when he hooked his tee shot on the 71st hole down into the ocean or down into the gunch at Torrey. This one, he got thoroughly beaten by Colin Morikawa. And when you stand toe-to-toe with somebody and they beat you, the sting is not as bad. I can promise you, I've been there. I've seen people walk right over you. Now, from a technical standpoint, it was clear that Louis was losing his irons a little bit to the right, made one poor bunker shot, and that was what separated him. And he was not able to claw his way back into because Morikawa put too much pressure on him, putted too well, and Louis got squeezed out. That's the way it goes.
I was ready to throw something at my TV when Paul Azinger kept making out that Louis was like a veteran. He was saying, it's going to be one of his last chances to win another major. I'm like, he's the same age as me. 38 years old. I'm like, geez.
I'm 20 years older than you, and I almost won the PGA at Whistling Straits when I was 48. So opportunity always arises. Louis Oosthuizen, all this form, the way he thinks about majors and the way he gets himself in contention. Sam and I discussed, is he too calm? Does he need to get up a little bit like John Rahm, a little bit of fire when he gets going? Maybe, I don't know. But it seems like the calmness certainly gets him into contention. But can he get himself up a little bit more? I don't know.
It's a major Sunday for you. Okay then, so our top 5, Dustin Johnson, Cam Davis, Tony Finau, Hank Levioda and Louis Oosthuizen. Coming up, we're going to go through the rest of our re-ranked top 10 and give you some great sizzlers this week for the 3M Open. Get in the game on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app and play 4-ball. It's a classic stroke play competition based on the aggregate scores of 4 players. Who makes your team? Well, pick 4 guys, 1 from each tier based on the current World Golf Rankings. Want a tip? You need 4 guys to make the cut. Get in the game on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app, available on iOS in the App Store. This week on the PGA Tour, it's off to TPC Twin Cities in Minnesota for the 3M Open. We are rolling through our top 10 and we're on to number 6. Now, number 6, we know this guy's game really well, and Elk, can you not feel it that something big is coming for Patton Cazire? He's already got 2 wins on the PGA Tour, but they came a good few years ago now. But he is just getting more and more consistent, it seems, every week.
Yes, and I text with Patton all the time, and we both know that something's coming very big for him. I think he holds the final round scoring average on the PGA Tour, and it's about 65 right now. He's had, I think, 3 64s to close. I'm spitballing here, but Patton Cazire gets so hot recently in rounds, and I just think it's a matter of time before something big happens for him.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the John Deere Classic, final round, 6 under, and that boosted him up into a tie for 11th.
3 rounds in Texas, he shot 64 the week that Spieth won. He shot 64 in Dallas, and he shot 64 in the last round at Colonial. So it takes a certain player to be able to shoot that low on a Sunday, because some people take their foot off the gas when they get in the big money and they don't just keep going it. But Patton is a master putter, and I would like to see what he can do when he gets in the lead early in the week.
Me too. Second on the whole PGA Tour for putting average. So Patton at 6. Coming in at number 7 is his partner when they won the Shark Shootout. And this guy opened the Open Championship with a 65. He was right up there really for 3 days. But Brian Harmon is coming in at number 7 for us this week.
And I think Brian Harmon is the number 1 putter on the tour inside of 10 feet.
Wow.
And when I think about guys that make a lot of 10-footers, I'm always jealous of them. And Brian Harmon is having a great season. He'll be looking ahead. He'd be an outside thinker. What if he won here and all the good golf in the majors? He almost won the Players. He's been there in every major. Would he be a pick for Steve Stricker if he won late here? He's such a bulldog. He'd be awesome in match play. So surely, Diane, Brian Harmon's thinking about winning this tournament and getting on the Ryder Cup.
Brian Harmon's at 33 in the FedExCup rankings right now as well. So, and we're talking about his finish at the Open. That's his 3rd top 20 finish out of the 4 majors in 2021. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's playing great golf. He just hasn't been in there on TV where we've seen him on a Sunday. He's just been out of the limelight ever so slightly. Did a triple bogey, I think, in the US Open on Torrey on Sunday, or he was going to be in the hunt with that. So he's just been out of it. I'd like to see what he could do, as I said about Patton Cazire, if they got into the hunt, because there's so much momentum behind them in their bag right now.
Okay, well, coming in at number 8, someone whose stats we are kind of throwing out the window this week. We're really going big on form for Dylan Frittelli. He was coming off a streak of miscuts. Then he goes to the Open Championship, plays amazing, especially at the weekend, and ends up finishing in a tie for 5th. Finished 5th at the Masters in November 2020 as well. So I don't know, South African, something to do with these links courses, big majors, I don't know, but Dylan Frittelli has to be feeling some fire in his belly right now.
He certainly does. And the 2 things that I like about what I saw all week with him is he's hitting it straight, and he holds his head still with his putter. He doesn't even look at the hole. He listens for it to go in.
How does he do that?
I don't know. He must have peeked at it and he said, "I'm not ever peeking again." But and everyone else knows, Diane, that I am so big on form. And when I get a guy that's in form, who, by the way, what is he on FedEx? He's just made the biggest jump ever.
106.
Yeah, so he was outside looking in. So what would make his year superb would be continued good play. He just beat a much stronger field. Everybody but 4 players at the Open Championship. So I'm thinking about his mindset, Diane. He knows he's putting good, he's hitting it straight. Perfect setup, lakes everywhere, bunkers everywhere, rough everywhere. Well, let's just keep it going.
Let's go. Talking of that FedExCup number, and you mentioned him at the start of the show, the next guy is at number 124. We know that 125, that is the golden number. So Ricky Fowler is hanging on by a thread right now. This is uncharted water for Ricky Fowler, who year after year has his tour card locked up because of wins and because of majors, Ryder Cup teams, President Cup teams. But it's been a completely different season for him.
Yeah, he is struggling on the tour. He has a bright spot every once in a while. Top 10 finish at the PGA at Kiowa, a 65 yesterday at the Open Championship. Why is he in Minnesota? He's not going to be on the Ryder Cup. He is barely keeping his ticket this year. He has a baby coming in the fall. There's a lot of distractions in the Ricky Fowler camp, but his mind has to be, Diane, let's have a good week. And I'm looking for motivated players. He just shot 65 yesterday. Will he be able to get it going in the beginning of the week? And I'm saying, yes, I think so. Ricky Fowler is not going to finish outside the 125. It's just not going to happen. So I'm putting bank on him this week, and that's why I've got him at number 9, Diane.
You sound just like his sponsors, I'm sure. It can't happen. And then completing our top 10 is the guy who won in 2019 here. It was his first year on the PGA Tour. It was his first couple of weeks on the PGA Tour, and Matthew Wolff got the victory with a tremendous eagle on the 18th. It was, a ball striker's paradise coming down the stretch on Sunday with him and Morikawa and DeChambeau. Matt Wolff got it done. He skipped the Open Championship, but he's back this week, and hopefully it's a good one for him.
Yeah, Matthew Wolff is a real talent. They spoke yesterday on the TV telecast about Matthew Wolff, Victor Hovland, and Colin Morikawa all coming out. Who was going to be the one they were going to be looking at? Well, all of them. They're all awesome. Hovland's won twice, once in both tours. Colin Morikawa, okay, we got him checked. Wolff has his physical golf game is superb. His mental game has let him down. He's had some personal issues with his thinking and his attitude on the course. He's been away from the game, trying to get that organized. Can he get his foot back in the door and sort of find a happy spot for him to play the tour? It's not uncommon, by the way, Diane, that guys go through this Matthew Wolff type. There's a lot of stress on the tour. There's a lot of problems about being away from home. There's a lot of being separated from all kinds of things. And can they feel comfortable? Do they deserve to be making this kind of money? All these different things that young kids have got to get organized and put into perspective. And Matthew Wolff is in the middle of it, but he's battling, Diane. He's going back to a course where he shot 21 under. Everything will rush back to him. And let's see if he can get himself back on track.
And I think it's brilliant that he talked about it, because it's going to help a lot of other people. I think it's also going to help him as well to be able to let this out and verbalize the struggles that he's been through. And he's getting obviously so much support from everyone on tour and the wider golf community as well. So Matthew Wolff hopefully back on the right track, and we have him at number 10 this week. So our full top 10, Dustin Johnson, Cam Davis, Tony Finau, Hank Levioda, Louis Oosthuizen, Patton Cazire, Brian Harmon, Dylan Frittelli, Ricky Fowler, and Matthew Wolff. Right, Elle, coming up next, we're going to talk about one name that is missing from the top 10. Missed the cut last week at the Open, so I don't know, maybe he was over and feeling a little bit fresh. Anyway, we will dive into that, and we have 3 great sizzlers for you this week for the 3M Open.
Play money grabber on the SG Tour. Instead of strokes, it's all about the cash. You pick a team of 4 players, 1 from each tier, and scoring is based on the money that your team wins. Your guys missed the cut? No problem, you're still in the game. The SG Tour Golf Gaming app, available on iOS in the App Store.
It's the Tour Report from Secret Golf. I'm Diane Knox, joined by Steve Elkington, and well, we are giving you our picks and our course preview for the 3M Open this week. Now, we've gone through our re-ranked top 10, and there's a lot of big names, Elk, that made the trip across from the Open Championship to play this week in Minnesota, and one of them is Patrick Reed, but coming off a missed cut. Now, we've been talking about why are guys playing this week. What do you think the motivation is behind Reed appearing in the field?
I watched Reed play in the featured group last week. He didn't play very good, had the hooks off the tee, Diane, didn't putt that good, looked a little bit out of sorts. But there's only one reason that Reed is in Minnesota, Diane. He is the thorn in the Euros side for the Ryder Cup, and he is the opposite of Ian Poulter. He's the one, he's the spark, the match, and he wants to solidify his spot in the team. So I think Patrick Reed, I think he's there, Diane, to win this tournament and get Steve Stricker to pick him so that he can be a thorn in your team's side, Diane.
Well, right now in the rankings, he's coming in at number 7. So, number 8. Jordan Spieth's at 7, out with that top 6 that get their place, and then Patrick Reed. But, he's got Harris English right behind him, Patrick Cantlay, Finau, Berger. There's a lot of big names right there, and I guess he's looking to really make that jump up, because Patrick Reed missing out on the Ryder Cup would be terrible for him.
Yes, and, teams, we're not going to talk too much about it, but teams have balance points or tipping points. And Ian Poulter has knitted the Euros team together for so many years. They keep saying, Ian Poulter, but of course he's going to be on the team. He is the team. Patrick Reed's not the team, but he adds a little bit of spice to the American team. Good putter, plays well under pressure. He had that famous shush. And Steve Stricker, he's sitting right where he kind of needs to be. One good week here will push him into the team.
Okay. Well, we have got 3 sizzlers for you. Now, these are guys at higher odds who have made big jumps up in our re-ranking, and we think that they could be good picks this week for the 3M Open. We're starting with Jonathan Vegas, who very quietly has crept up to number 72 in the FedExCup standings. He's had 2 runner-up finishes this year at the Puerto Rico tournament and the Palmetto Championship at Congaree, and another top 10 9th place finish at the Byron Nelson. But Jonathan Vegas is slowly but surely returning to maybe form of days gone by, and he's putting together a really good season.
I know Johnny Vegas very well, lives here in Houston, up at the Woodlands, been watching him all season. A year ago, Diane, he was almost the worst putter on the PGA Tour, and now you've just said it. He's 70th in the FedEx. No one's even had him on the radar at all year. It wouldn't shock me one bit. He's one of the longest hitters on the PGA Tour. He's driving the ball straight. I talked to some guys who played with him the other day. He's hitting it 1 mile straight, and he's fixed his putting. He's got something he's keyed in on. He's got the money in the bank behind him. It's 70th on the FedEx, Diane. I am all over this pick this week.
Okay, good. So Jonathan Vegas, as we said, 72nd in the FedExCup rankings, and he's 66-1 this week. So pretty decent odds for him. Now, the next guy is 50-1, slightly lesser odds, and probably because he's been having such a good season as well. He just finished 5th at the Barbasol Championship. He's 121st in the FedExCup standings. So coat is on a sugary peg for Patrick Rodgers.
Yes, I watched Patrick Rodgers finish yesterday at the Barbasol. When I start to think about a guy that just finished 5th, playing very good golf, going to a very similar course. If you watched the playoff yesterday or you watched any of the Barbasol, all the holes had water all on both sides coming in with shots across water. Very similar golf course this week. Got to hit the ball straight. I'm looking at that 121st, Diane, on the FedEx. And we have other players like Pat Perez, who's 115th, Ricky Fowler, 124th. They want to be in it next year. They want to have their ticket. And I'm looking at guys around that area that are playing good golf. And this guy stands out brightest of them all.
The thing about Patrick is I feel like he's hot out of the gate. He's got a really good scoring average when it comes to the opening round, but it's just keeping that momentum going. I mean, the Travelers, he shot 65 in the first round, made the cut, but ended up finishing in a tie for 76th. So, I mean, and you'll see a lot of that opening round is super low. He just needs to keep that going for 3 more days.
Yeah, and you know, I was texting with my close friend Jason Duffner, who had 3 good rounds last week, had a 1 over yesterday, kind of spoiled his week. He was up to 2nd place on Saturday evening. It was very exciting seeing his game get going. He said, I just hit 3 bad shots on Sunday that cost me 6 strokes. And so we've seen, you know, when you're on tour, like I played for 30 years, some weeks, Diane, you will have 3.5 good rounds and you'll blow up on a certain hole or two. Now, this is coming down to crunch time. We got no time to have any bad stretches anymore. Patrick Rodgers is 121st on the FedEx, and that's all you got to know about him looking like this and keep away, everybody behind me, keep away.
I know. And then our third Sizzler is 80-1, which I think is really good. A lot of value in this guy who grew up just a few miles from this golf course just outside of Blaine. And he just lost in a playoff at the Rocket Mortgage a few weeks ago. Now we're talking about the fact that, Rocket Mortgage, the Barbasol this week, they're kind of 3 easier courses in the circuit. So it's a great chance for Troy Merritt. He finished in a tie for 7th here in 2019. And he's been really consistent, so there's no reason why this could not be the week.
You're absolutely right. And whenever you think about a guy that knows the golf course, has played well in his home course, if you looked at my record at the Houston Open, you would say, I'll never bet on elk at the Houston Open. Played terrible during my home week. But Troy Merritt plays good on this course, Diane. As you noted, he just finished second at the Rocket Mortgage, beating the playoff by Cam Davis. He went home, he relaxed, he watched the golf on TV. He is ready to go.
And he's had 4 top 10s this season, which is impressive anyway, but they've all come since May. So that definitely tells you where his game is and how it's trending. So our 3 Sizzlers for the week: Johnny Vegas, Patrick Rodgers, and Troy Merritt. Right, Elk? Thank you very much. Jay Kaplan's going to be here soon, and we're going to look at those dark horse picks. But as you say, a course that you've played before when it was on the Champions Tour, so I'm sure you're excited to see it this week.
Yeah, it's a great course. There'll be some good scoring. There's a lot of par 5s that I think the whole field will be able to reach the greens into. The famous one behind your shoulder is a par 5 18 that you can go for into. Wolf decided the tournament 2 years ago when he made an eagle to beat DeChambeau and Morikawa, and we could not have known what all 3 of those players would have done from that moment forward. But yeah, this is a fun course. You've got to hit the ball well. You've got to strike it solid because you're going across a lot of water. It's going to be a fun tournament to watch.
Saturday is considered moving day, and you can play along on the SG Tour. It's a one-day stroke play competition where you select a team of 4 players to shoot the lowest scores of the day. Will you make big moves? Download the SG Tour Golf Gaming app on iOS now.
Well, we're on to the 5th and final part of the Tour Report this week for the 3M Open on the PGA Tour. And Jay Kaplan, as if by magic, has appeared. And, well, he's going to give us his wisdom and picks for the week. Mind you, dude, you need to step it up a little bit. Things have not been going well in your camp.
My camp should be banned from this show. I'm as good as I was early in the year, and I look back and think, what was I doing that was making me so successful picking dark horses? And I'm not doing anything differently. Sometimes you look at the chart and you're like, it's so crystal clear, Diane. And sometimes you look at it and it looks like a calculus course in the hardest university in the universe. And I just can't seem to figure out how to get around it. This is my week. I turn it around.
Well, we always say with the dark horse picks that, we're looking for guys to make the cut. And that kind of comes on the back of the SG Tour Golf Gaming app, because you have a 4-ball team, lowest aggregate score wins. That reminds me, I need to check where I finished because I was in 4th place for a long time in the big game. But if guys make the cut, then obviously, you're going to get more points. So with dark horses, we kind of equate it to that. My dark horse for the Open, Johannes Veerman, made the cut. How did yours do?
Thanks for bringing that up. I had a repeat of an earlier duo with Charlie Hoffman and Matt Jones. And not only did they both miss the cut, it was like they were playing together to torture me. Their scores were exactly the same. Every time one bogeyed, the other bogeyed. Every time one birdied, the other birdied. They were close but didn't make it. And as you know, with cut lines, it doesn't really matter. You're either in or out.
I just checked and I finished third. I know you can't see this right now. And I won $33.12.
Great. Lunch is on you.
Oh my gosh, I won by one. And it was, I had Brooks Koepka, Robert McIntyre, Marcus Armitage, and Jack Sr. I didn't even have my dark horse in.
You didn't have your dark horse.
But I had another. No, yeah. That's
Good
so
for
good
you.
though. Yeah.
Well, go ahead and call out who you beat. Who finished fourth so we can...
Well, this is the Elk's huge game, so I don't know, a guy called DW Beast 21. I just always like to see where Elk finished, because as long as where did Elk finish? He finished 36th. He won $3.
Sounds like his normal Open Championship result when he played.
Oh, he had two guys that missed the cut, and they're plus 10 for each day for missing the cut. Anyway, so there we go. Maybe the whole point of that was just listen to me when it comes to my dark horse pick. However, I'm going to give the honors to you. You can kick it off this week, Jay.
All right. Well, here's a shot in the dark. I've used this guy before. In fact, I used him in Detroit a few weeks ago. And he missed the cut, lo and behold. However, my number one factor this week is what our general theme has been for the last few weeks. FedExCup points and who's hovering around that 125 mark. So this first guy is a veteran. He's been here. Seems like he's here every year. He's coming off a 5th place finish yesterday. So that's one reason I went with him. He's also 4th in putting average. And when you get in these high scoring events, you got to put the ball in the hole. So that'll be a plus for him. His weakness is his tee ball, but it's not terrible, but he is a great putter. He's 24th in putting average on tour, and his birdie average hovers around 63, which isn't so bad. And in a time and a place where you have to score and the pressure's on as he comes in 135th on the FedExCup points list, it's time for this guy to secure his place next year. And I think this is a great opportunity for him. He's familiar with this part of the country. He's an Ohio guy, but he's a Big Ten guy, so Minnesota is kind of right there in his wheelhouse. My first dark horse pick, and I'm crossing my fingers, is Ryan Armour.
Okay, pivotal for him to have a good week going by that position in the FedExCup standings. So,
very much.
What are his odds?
Mr. Armour is 125-1, which I like. That's a good value for a guy like him who does have something significant on the line.
Well, we always say dark horses have to be over 100-1, and my guy is bang on the number this week. Oh, thank goodness, 100-1. Now, I will give you my reasons why. I am looking, 76th in the FedExCup standings, so he's having a good season, he has a good number, but everyone has their own goals, and he's going to be aiming for top 70 for the second round of the playoffs and thinking like, hey, I could almost go all the way. So really good position for him. 6th place finish at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, 18th at the John Deere. So I'm looking at results, but also this guy hits it a mile. He's 11th on the whole PGA Tour in driving distance. And with 72 bunkers around TPC Twin Cities, I looked at SandSave stats and he's 15th on the PGA Tour. So I think good play combined with those numbers and the fact he is having a good season overall. Brandon Hagee at 100-1 is my dark horse pick this week.
Well, you always come prepared and you lay out your case for why each guy. And the fact of the matter is, you've been hot with your dark horse pick, so I don't know why anybody would go away from that.
I'm surprised he was 100-1. I thought he was going to be out with the Realms. When I saw it, I'm like, I'm definitely taking that. So Brandon Hagee and Ryan Armour. And then our third dark horse pick, over to you.
Same concept, gotta perform this week. He's running out of time. He comes in 146th on the FedExCup point list. Here's what I like about this chap. 46th in driving, 27th in green and regulation. That means he's going to be on the green, ready to score. His Achilles is his putter. So maybe this is the week, because of the pressure, that he feels like he's got to convert some of these putts so he can be in contention and at least finish in the top 10. I'll just take a cut. Usually now I'm sort of the black widow of the duo, you and I, because of, sorry, that was an animal fight going on over here. They're upset about my dark horse picks too. But my second dark horse pick is a guy that is coming off his best finish in over 2 months, and 11th last week, finished in 11th place. My final dark horse pick, Diane, and I'm crossing my fingers because this is make or break for not just this dude, but for me, is the one and only Joseph Bramlett.
At 150 to 1. And as you say, 146 in the FedExCup standings, so needs a push, needs a really, really good week to tie up his living for next year. So our three dark horse picks are Joseph Bramlett at 150 to 1, Ryan Armour at 125 to 1, and then my guy, Brandon Hagee, at 100 to 1. I'm going to throw in one name as well. He's only 40 to 1, so he's not a dark horse, but we didn't fit him in anywhere else in the show, and I do think that he's worth mentioning. Luke List, coming off at 5th place at the Barbasol Championship, and he was right up the top of the leaderboard at the end of Saturday and for a lot of Sunday. And then 4th place at the John Deere a week before. As we've said, it's a kind of stretch of slightly easier courses by PGA Tour standards, and he's playing great right now. So 40 to 1, there's maybe something in Luke List this week for the 3M Open.
I'm going to keep an eye on him. You always, every time you throw in a late name, he does well. So this will be something to look at.
Just wanted to fit him in somewhere we couldn't earlier, so worth a mention. Right, thank you very much for watching the Tour Report. So we're hurtling towards these FedExCup playoffs as we keep talking about, but next week it's a break from everything apart from the Olympics. We're still going to do a show, and we're really going to talk about the teams that are going to be competing over in Tokyo. It's going to be exciting. Justin Rose will not be there to defend his gold medal, but we will have to talk about some really big names that have made that trip to the other side of the world.